Yo, what's up? Welcome inside the opening line, Elite Fantasy Sports Network. Shout out to everybody for rocking with us. Thursday, Benny, what's going on with you? No hoops last night.
I know, the first night in I can't even remember how long, but it was good though.
We had a Saturday about 2 weeks ago or something where the schedule didn't add up right. Other than that, it's been basketball every night.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I played a little baseball last night, a little DFS baseball. Stacked the Yankees, used the Grom and Jose Urena, so worked out pretty well. Made some money yesterday there. The home run thing did not hit yesterday, Corey, but that's all right, you know.
It was close, though.
Yeah, it was. We got the Bregman home run, although for some reason the Chicago White Sox were able to score 8 runs on Garrett Cole. So I don't know how to help. Well, actually, it was only like 6 on Cole, I think. But either way, I don't know how the hell that happened. But they didn't win the game anyway. And then Vogelback, I don't know if you saw the early game. He had 2 warning track ones. The first one, the guy literally caught it on the wall.
Yeah.
Not like he didn't rock. Like I don't think it would have been a home run. Like it was a little bit short, but I mean we were 6 or 8 inches away from that being a pretty good sweat on a 14-1 payout. So that would have been okay.
But the Mariners lost the game though, right?
Yeah, but I mean you get that 2-run home run from him there. That changes a lot of things too. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that makes sense too. I played the Bregman one to hit a home run.
Okay.
So I was able to cash that when it got to that plus 375 on PointsBet. I got to that plus 375 on PointsBet.
Oh, nice.
I tried to play it live when I was at FanDuel yesterday. I had to go up there and cash out. I tried to play it like on the machines in there. They didn't have those props in there, so I didn't get to play it. But I figured it was going to give it a ride. So I think I had that last night. I had the Yankees over.
The Yankees over hit. That was a good one for me. I had the Yankees. I had the over in the game and the over in the team total. So I cashed on both of them. And I had the Yankees. So I actually cashed all 3 of those.
The Tigers and Marlins, I had the under. It pushed.
I was going to say I didn't touch that, but I saw that the Marlins had a bunch of runs late in that game because I actually played – who hit the home run? I actually played Brian Anderson in DFS.
Okay.
He was like 3,100 on DraftKings. He was one of the better cheap plays, and he's still one of the better cheap plays again today for anybody playing DFS.
Yeah, so that one pushed late in the game. That one pushed. What else did I have last night? I had the Twins That game was rained out. That stunk.
Okay.
So it's like I made money yesterday. I didn't lose any. The only thing I lost was the somebody really spit the bit last night. I forgot who it was. And then other than that, I had the draw, I had the push, and I had the rain delay.
Hey, that's not bad. I mean, a push, a rain delay, and winning one bet means you had a winning night. Because the other two were just basically giving you your money back.
The points bet, I don't have much money in the points bet account, but I doubled what I had in it yesterday. Put it like that.
Yeah. Do you ever do any of that? There was
Mariners, huh?
Do you ever do any of the? So for people who don't know, PointsBet is another one of the sports book that opened up in Jersey, and they do this weird thing with like you could win a bunch of money or lose a bunch of money. So like, here's an example. The other night, I don't know if you saw this, it was the Draymond Green prop. So it was number of points multiplied by number of rebounds multiplied by number of assists for Draymond Green.
Mm-hmm.
And the number that they had on PointsBet was like 1,100 and something, right? So if you add up, like if you have 10 assists and 10 rebounds and 10 points, it's 10 times 10 times 10, and it's 100 times 10, so it's 1,000 or whatever. So you really needed Draymond Green to put up like big numbers across the board. It was the night that him and Steph both had the triple doubles, and he put up like huge numbers. I forget what it was. It was like 18, 14, and 12 or something. So when you multiplied them all together, it came out to like 3,500 or something. So anybody who bet at least $1 on that plus 1,100 on that 1,100 total, you got $1 for every number he was over. So his multiplied like points times rebounds times assists was like 3,500, and the number they picked was 1,100. So if you bet $1 on it, you won $2,400.
Yeah.
But you had to have like $1,100 to risk, because if you would have got hurt in the first minute and gone 0 times 0 times 0, you would have owed $1,100.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Those bets are called points bet. Basically, it's an old betting thing called a lightning bet.
Mm-hmm.
where you're staking it like kind of on both sides. And PointsBet is kind of, they're the place for that. So I don't really know how it exactly works, but I know the theory of lightning bets is you can, like you said, you can either win a whole bunch or you can lose a whole bunch. Here's the interesting thing. PointsBet, if you listen to a lot of New York radio and stuff like that, they're becoming a major advertiser. And their advertising, obviously, but in their advertising, they don't tell you that you can lose all that money on that bet too. So they sing these bets. You can bet $2 and win $2,000, but they don't tell you can bet $2 and lose $2,000.
So Corey, I'm gonna rewind the clock about 7 years right now. Okay.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going.
Is this not FanDuel on WFAN and FanDuel on ESPN Radio? I mean, this is exactly the same thing they did. And you know what? There's an upside and a downside to it. FanDuel eventually got sued, and there's lawsuits out there now about, people didn't realize they can lose. Which, first off, let's all be honest here. You didn't realize you could lose, but you think people are just giving away free money? You got to be.
It's called gambling. It's not called winning.
Right. So that's the first thing. But the other thing too is the owners of FanDuel also were able to build a 5 million person base of users with a whole bunch of other users coming in after that, and eventually sold off the company by doing it. So it's not crazy for SportsBet to be doing this and putting money out there on the radio. You know what the big difference now is, though, between now and 2012? And I know as two guys who listen to a lot of sports radio. In 2012, you were either listening to like ESPN radio or WFAN. There were maybe 3 or 4 sports podcasts out there. There were maybe 4 or 5 major websites, the Roto World, the Roto Wire, ESPN, CBS Sportsline. In today's day and age, especially in sports media and sports coverage and fantasy and betting and all that, there are thousands of podcasts. You type in fantasy or betting, you're going to get 1,000 podcasts pop up. You type either one of those into a Google search, you're not going to get those same 5 companies you used to. You're going to get hundreds, not even including like companies like ours. Like, you still have Pro Football Focus and you still have the ESPNs and the CBSs and all that stuff. I don't know if the advertising on the radio thing is going to work as well in 2019 for PointsBet as it did in 2012 for FanDuel.
They're taking the beating.
Are they?
They're taking the beating. They don't turn it over.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like when FanDuel was running those ads, they were picking up 1,000 subscribers a week. You know what I mean? They were, every Sunday when there was a football game, there was 1,000 new people who heard it during the week and was like, I'm going to sign up and throw in $25. I mean, honestly, I'm not even going to lie. That's how I got hooked on FanDuel. I heard it over there. I used to play season long. I played in a whole bunch of these leagues. I heard it on WFAN when I was driving home from work or something one day, and I threw $25 in and started playing. I think I lost the whole $25. But then I was like, this is pretty cool. I got to learn how to do this and make some money. And, 7
years later,
yeah, exactly.
House down the shore. Yes.
Yeah.
So, I tell people this all. Nobody believes me when I tell them this. Son, I would talk to Jason Robbins on the telephone 2 or 3 nights a week for 30, 40 minutes a night. You know what I'm saying?
I worked for the DK Playbook for the longest time. He's actually a pretty approachable guy. Like, as far as the CEO goes, like, you can have an actual conversation with him and, he'll get back to you. He's not like some of these people that are like, the little people out there. Like, I've talked to him a bunch of times. He's a good guy. He's a good dude.
He's a friend on Facebook, which I'm really on Facebook. But the other day I did go on Facebook and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. But back in those days, Benny, me and Jason would talk about advertising. And I would tell him, he was talking about advertising on SiriusXM Fantasy. And I would tell him, he's like, oh, it's so expensive. I'm like, just go directly to the companies. And that's how he's started getting Roto experts and stuff like that. Right. And that was kind of the backdoor advertisement that was going on that day. I remember playing on FanDuel, DraftKings, you know what I'm saying, years now. So Daily Joust and all of that, you know what I mean, when DFS first popped off. But good times, and now you're seeing a lot of that with the betting. But remember, people, terms and conditions do apply. Make sure you read the fine print, you know what I'm saying? I just say it like that because some of these offshore companies, you can have your money tied up in there for a long time. So just make sure you read the terms and conditions and be careful with stuff like that. Other than that, Benny, we got a basketball game tonight. We got a full slate of baseball. But I want to start with Kevin Durant. yo, Benny, son, he's really got to chill out, yo. Because if he hears every single thing that's said about him, when he gets to New York later on this summer, it's going to be bananas.
What do you mean when he gets to New York? It's if right now, buddy. It's no longer a done deal from apparently what I'm hearing. Although technically he did come out yesterday and was like, I don't know who you're getting your stories from, but that's definitely not something I said. But yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot going on with Kevin Durant right now. I mean, he's a big name. He is one of the best players in the NBA, and I guess a lot of people are trying to bring up the stories to be the one that I broke the story about where Kevin Durant was going and all that. Listen, Kevin Durant right now is not worried about where he's playing next year. He's worried about the next week, maybe getting back to play in the finals. And then after that, believe me, he will have plenty of time and plenty of suitors. He's going to be able to go pretty much wherever he wants to go because everybody in the league is going to want him. So if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm not even thinking about that stuff right now. Let everybody write their stories. That's how they sell their papers. That's how they, get people to listen to their podcasts and stuff like that. I'm going to tell you right now, I have no inside sources. I have no idea where Kevin Durant is going to go. All I'm going to do is tell you guys the stuff that's out there. I think the Knicks are the front runner to get Kevin Durant, but I don't think that there are other teams that aren't going to try, and we've seen stranger things happen. So if you want to buy your Kevin Durant Knicks jersey, I'm all for it. Just wait till he puts his name on the dotted line so you don't walk around like one of these idiots with the Knicks Zion Williams jersey.
Yeah, the Zion jersey or the Zion tattoo. I just worry about him constantly replying to 14-year-old boys on the internet, getting in back and forth tussles with Chris Broussard or whoever it is, his love-hate relationship with the media. I'm like, man, for a big-time superstar like that, he really has rabbit ears.
No, but here's the thing that I actually like about that. I like when a player will call out somebody in the media for making some shit up.
Yeah, that's true.
Chris Broussard's like, yo, me and KD are boys. I got his number right here. KD's like, no, you don't have my number.
You don't have my number.
What he's basically saying is like, listen, this guy, anything he says about me especially is BS. Don't let him use this line and he's got my number and we're boys like that. We ain't boys. That's the thing that I thought I actually liked when he did that yesterday. Yeah. And I wish more players would do that when they hear more people just, spouting off. It's one thing to be like, yo, I don't think this guy's doing the right thing. Here's part of the problem with his game right now or blah, blah, blah. That's analysis. That's what you're supposed to do. When you're trying to break stories and being like, yeah, I got a source inside my boys' camp right here, and, me and this source were hanging out having beers with Kevin Durant yesterday, that's the stuff that I have a problem with. Because now you're just making stuff up to try to get clicks and to try to get people to know your name. So I like the fact that he kind of put him on blast there. So I'm the Chris Broussard thing, I'm not that upset about.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Chris Broussard. I think he's a cool cat. I think he's a nice guy. Actually, I'm saying some of the stuff he does off camera, I've learned about, and I think that he's a good dude. But he can kind of be a clout chaser. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
You're right. Shout out to Kevin Durant for that. But you know what I mean? This is interesting. He's always in the internet, like, you know what I mean? Like Kevin Durant is on his social media all day looking for stories about him. You know what I mean? Speaking of social media, Benny, this is interesting because I got a son that's about to graduate or whatever, and getting ready for different like events and stuff like that as we come up on these final couple of days. Obviously, graduation, the big one being the prom or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, getting together for all of this stuff, right? Now, y'all know I have the Tottenham bet on June 1st. June 1st just happens to be the day of the prom. Mm-hmm. The best bet for that bet would have been to probably go to the book and hedge it live, you know what I'm saying, as it's going on. Right, but I can't do that because I'll be, Washington, D.C. getting my son ready for prom. You know what I mean? Now, I was talking with my pops, and my pops was like, well, why are you going back down there on back-to-back weekends? I'm like, because, they're doing a prom send-off. And my pops is like, what the hell is a prom send-off? And I'm like, you know what? This is a good question. What the hell is a prom send-off? So if you, I know a lot of different people, you know what I'm saying? From different cultures, right? Mm-hmm. And, I'm friends. I probably have a more diverse group of social media friends than anybody, you know what I mean? And what I did notice the past couple of weeks, looking at these prom send-offs, This is something that only black people do. Benny, are you familiar with a prom send-off?
I mean, are we talking like, you know, when you take pictures and then you get in like the limo and you go away? Like we did that. Like, you know, a bunch of my friends got together. We took pictures and then, you know, we all got in a limo and went to the prom together. Is that what you're talking about, or is it bigger than that?
This is a legit catered party with a red carpet. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all wildin' now. That's yeah. No, like literally, like my boys came over to, you know, like you've been to my house before, so we have like, you know, it's kind of like a dead end block, and it's got the nice view of the city. So like, a couple people met at my house. We took pictures there, and then we had to walk up the block because the limo couldn't get down my block because it's like that windy thing at the bottom. So then we walked up the block to my buddy's house, and the limo picked us up there. But, like, that was it. Like, there was no food. There was a little bit of alcohol, but it was, like, under our shirts and the flask. Nobody knew about that. But it wasn't – there was no red carpet. There was some, you know, concrete blacktop. That's about it.
No, Benny, these things are over the top. It's catered. You know what I'm saying? It's catered. It's alcohol there. You know what I mean? So you got the whole shebang. And then what they do is they put out a red carpet for the kids. And then everybody goes outside. You know what I mean? And it's almost like the kids are like on the red carpet at the Oscars. They're taking pictures and stuff like that. It's a setup, balloons and everything. And then you take pictures with people sit one by one. And my father is like, I can't believe this is actually going on right now. And as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? I've never seen white people do this.
No, you're absolutely right. And I got to be honest, we like to party and do crazy dumb stuff for the hell of it anyway. Honestly, it's actually a pretty cool idea. Like, you know, I mean, listen, you know, and we talked about this already, between tuxes and dresses and girls with their hair and the flowers and all that stuff. I mean, literally, you drop a couple $100 as a parent on your kid going to prom. And again, like my mom got like, you know, 3 pictures of like me and my date or something like that. You know what I mean? And then it was like, all right, peace out. We're out of here. You know what I'm saying? So it actually does make some sense. I mean, if you're going to spend all that money and get all dressed up and all that, I mean, you know, you're really doing it for like 2 or 3 hours. Like you might as well make a day of it and extend it and party it out.
Because after the kids leave, the party continues. And the parents, you know, not the parents, but the adults, they sit around and they drink and have a good time until the kids come back. And I'm like, and then I think, if I'm these kids, I'm not coming back. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, y'all go to bed. You know what I mean? And it just hit me when I was talking to my pops about it. I'm like, I've never seen any of my white friends do this.
You guys got to watch, man. You know, white people take all the black culture anyway. They're gonna start being parties and stuff now. So you know,
it's going to be a thing. You know what I'm
saying? The black people are gonna be mad at you now, though, Corey. They're like, yo, why'd you have to let the cat out of the bag? It was the last thing we still had left. You know, like
the prom.
This is all we got left.
Now it's gonna be prom send-offs next year with green bean casserole. Oh man, good times. All right, Benny.
Memorial Day weekend, we're going downhill. This is awesome.
Oh yeah, why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not? Hey.
There's not a lot to talk about though. I mean, you said it. There's the NBA game tonight. There's a couple Major League Baseball games today. I don't even think it's a full slate today. I know I wrote up the early slate this morning. And there's like 6 games, and I think the late slate is, I don't know how many games are there tonight. Do we have 15 today in MLB anyway?
Hold on one second. I'll tell you right now. We'll get into that early slate too. The early slate is thick, and then it's only 2 games in the evening.
Yeah, I think there's only like 9 games on the slate today. The early slate for DFS, at least, I don't know if all the games were included, is only like 5 or 6 games, and there's a little bit of rain floating around on the East Coast. So we might even. I was about to
say, my guess with rain may be a problem right here in New York. Rain could be a problem in Baltimore, and rain would probably be a problem in Pittsburgh too.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's like right now it kind of.
It looks like it's breaking. It's breaking.
It was raining hard this morning. When I took the kids to school this morning, I had like a rain jacket on and we had an umbrella. Like it was coming down hard. And they said it's going to rain hard again tonight. The one thing that I think could save this slate and, you know, for betting and DFS, there's a window in the afternoon, like from around now until about like 5 or 6 o'clock at night where there's no rain at all scheduled. So hopefully they'll be able to get all these games in because there's supposed to be some more coming like 7, 8 tonight.
Yeah, so that'd be it's interesting because you definitely want to follow the weather situations, whether you're playing DFS or whether you're betting. It's nothing like a parlay hitting, but like that rain delay screwing that up. You know what I mean? Or that washout screwing that up.
So the other night, I'm trying to remember what game it was that I was betting on. I bet on somebody the other night who scored 2 runs in the top of an inning, so they were up 6-4, and then the game got delayed before the bottom of the inning, and it wound up being a no bet.
Yeah,
So it was voided because they didn't end the game because they had to finish playing it out because the one team got their ups and the home team didn't get their ups in the bottom of the inning. So they're gonna they postponed it and they're gonna replay it at a later date, where they start in like the 8th inning and just finish that game and then play the next game that they have on their schedule. But for gambling, even though I was up 6-4 on the bet, it wound up being a voided bet and they paid out the other stuff I had, which sucked because I'm sitting here. I had it on like a bunch of parlays and I'm like, man, that would have been an extra your parlay goes from $100 to pay $400 to $100 to pay like 180. Exactly. And you're like, well, I knew the chalk team was going to win. That was the one that was supposed to juice up my payout.
And that's what I was saying. That's the one that was tough right there with with that situation with Minnesota and the Angels last night. So that really stunk. But let's talk a little bit of fantasy football right quick. We can always do that this time of year. David Johnson, Joe Mixon, John Connor, Todd Gurley.
All right, so wait. David Johnson, Joe Mixon, Todd Gurley, John Connor. Did you give me another one in there?
Rank those 4. Nah.
Rank those 4. I'm worried about Gurley injury-wise.
I am too.
So I'm going to drop him low on –
Gurley's in the second round of drafts now.
Yeah, and I don't even – I'm going to be honest. I try to steer clear of these guys. I learned my lesson last year taking Devonta Freeman.
Me too.
You don't want to – if you lose a top running back, a first, second-round pick, your season's done. So I'd probably steer clear of that. The guy I honestly feel is the safest of that group, Corey, is Connor.
Probably so, right?
I thought you were going to say I'm crazy. To me, that's the guy that feels the safest.
But the thing that you would worry about is the way the production dropped off later into the season last year. Mm-hmm. But probably as a guy that's carrying the load for the first time by himself, you probably could expect something like that to happen. He comes back this year looking to carry the load, you know what I mean? So the story might be a little bit different. He might be better equipped to do it in his third season. I would say Connor. I don't know what the Cardinals' offense is going to be.
See, David Johnson could be 1 through 4 on this list. You're basically rolling the dice.
Yep.
Because if he becomes the guy he was before he got hurt,
most dominant back in the league.
Yeah, he's the number 1 overall pick. And with the system that a lot of people are expecting them to go with, I mean, you have a wide open system. You have a quarterback that has some wheels. Anytime you have a quarterback with wheels, it usually makes it easier for the running back too. Probably run a little spread option read kind of thing. He's going to be used more. They've already talked about it, last year and towards the end of the season when they started using him a little bit more. He can catch passes. He can run the ball. He can score touchdowns. That's the thing is he could end up being the number 1 overall back, or he could end up being the biggest bust in the first round if that's where he's going. Where is he going now? First round, second round?
He's going at the end of the first round.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He could end up being the biggest bust of the first round or the biggest steal of the first round. He has that big.
I think he'll have some exposure. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'll put him on $1,000 team, but if I got a $150 team, you know what I'm saying? I'll take a crack with him like that. And a lot of people always, when I say that, Benny, people always be like, what difference does it make the price range, the price of the team, about who you put on the team? That's the way I play, Benny. If I drop $1,000 for a team, Benny, I'm being very careful who I put on that team.
Well, not even so much that, but the way I look at it is, you want shares of guys, right? That's when you're putting together teams, you want to have some exposure to a lot of guys. The guys that you feel the strongest about are the guys that should be on your main event team, your $1,000 team, your $1,500 team. The guys that you like, a guy like this who you're like, he's not my favorite, but I want to have a little bit of him. That's a guy that goes on your what do they have? The online championship, the $300 one, or the best ball, the $150 cut line league team. That's where you should have those guys. So that's the way I do the same thing. Either you could have, because there are some people that'll play 50 main event seats, right? We know a lot of these guys that do it too. Guys like Vlad, guys like Modica, they'll have multiple teams out there. So to them, when they say shares, they're like, well, I have 1 share of them on my $1,500 team here. I have 4 shares of this other guy on my $1,500 team. I only usually play like maybe one of the main event, like the $1,500 lineups or something like that. So that's the team that I want the guys that I like the most on. And then for me, I'll play a bunch of like, the cut line and the online championship, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's where I'll diversify out there with the smaller ones. So it's the same thing as what they're doing by diversifying there, but they're just playing a whole bunch of high-level rosters where, they'll have a couple shares of them here, a couple shares of them there. But I don't think it's crazy to put guys that you like more on your higher price teams.
But a lot of people that we're like, that listen to us broadcast, they may have 2 or 3 leagues. You know what I'm saying? So,
exactly.
Like I said, just try to get a little bit of everybody. But just letting you, when I say like the price that I'll put, when I say I'm not putting David Johnson on a $1,000 team, it doesn't mean I don't like David Johnson. It kind of means I don't like David Johnson enough to, you know what I'm saying, put $1,000 on him as my RB1 because that team has to hit. And David Johnson, he may not hit. So, that's why I say it is to let you know my level of interest in the player. The Gurley thing, I worry about Gurley hitting the IR this year more than anything else. I don't mind taking a shot with him in the second round, especially as an RB2. But this feels like week 4 or 5, Todd Gurley's going to the injured reserve.
Yes. Now, I will say this, though. If you get a pick on the turn, you could walk away with Johnson and Gurley as your running back.
Exactly. You can do that. The looking at right now has Johnson and Gurley.
Yeah. Now, if you do that, just so you know, what you're basically doing is the Ricky Bobby strategy, right? Like, you're all in.
Yep.
That's a team that's all in. You could wind up with the 2 best running backs in the league because if both of those guys are healthy and carrying the load, we've seen both of those guys put up monster seasons. So you could wind up winning the league, but there's also a chance that you wind up in last place with your running backs being – I don't even know who the hell Todd Gurley's backup is right now. Is it still CJ or did they bring somebody else in?
They drafted that kid Henderson. CJ Anderson is gone now. They drafted that kid. I think his name is Darrell Henderson. So I'll probably be a competition in camp.
Yeah, so, you'll be looking at like a Darrell Henderson and whatever other random running back you can pick up during the season pairing if those guys don't work out. But if they do work out, you could win a league on it. So, again, if you're going to do it, I don't know if I would do it on my highest price team because it is kind of a risk. But rolling the dice is kind of how you win fantasy championships sometimes. So,
all right, as far as wide receivers go, the early part of the draft, and you think is D-Hop the first wide receiver off the board?
I think so. I put him ahead of Beckham, and I know other people are pushing Beckham up there. And again, I'm not an Odell Beckham hater, but I just love Hopkins. And the thing is, we saw him get just so many targets year after year, and the guy's just so good. Like some of the catches he makes, even being double teamed, even being shadowed by the best corner on the other team, he's just so good.
Yeah, D-Hop is a beast, and Deshaun Watson is a beast. And it just works. And so I will say that D-Hop is 1-1 when it comes to wide receivers. At 2, the second wide receiver, if I was ranking them out, I would go Beckham as a second wide receiver, and I would go Devontae Adams as the third wide receiver.
Good. I'm glad you didn't say Julio. I really am. And I love Julio Jones. I really do. But,
I think this is going to be a big year for Julio.
I do too. And I still don't think I would put him ahead of the 3 guys that you put up there.
Okay.
And that's the way that I'm looking at it.
Put Julio ahead of Michael Thomas?
No, I actually have Julio 5th behind Michael Thomas.
Okay, all right. Why is that?
Basically just because Michael Thomas is more consistent. Yeah, he's more consistent. He's going to get the targets. He's going to get looks down there in the red zone. Again, you don't know if that offense is going to be as run-heavy as it has been in the past because last year at the beginning of the season, right, when Kamara was the running back, they were doing a lot of, like, swing passes out of the backfield to him, like, lining up in a lot more passing formations.
Yeah.
When Mark Ingram was in there and you're kind of handing the ball off to him. So I have a feeling that they're going to be a little bit more of I don't want to say like an air raid offense, but I feel like their offense is going to look a little bit more Kansas City Chief-ish, if I could say that. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, Breeze and Mahomes, 2 very different players with how they make plays, but these are 2 guys that can lead an explosive, high-scoring offense.
No, I agree with you on that. Like I said, I'm with Michael Thomas. Julio for me is a toss-up. Also, when I look at those 2 backs, but that's the way I would go. Pretty much like you.
That's a tough one because I know Juju's share of targets is going to go up.
Yep.
And I know that AB is going to be the number one in Oakland.
On a team that's probably going to be playing from behind a lot.
That is going to be playing from behind. But here's the other thing, too, is like, to me, Ben Roethlisberger is a much better quarterback than Derek Carr.
I agree with you on that.
And now, instead of – I mean, Juju put up big numbers while basically being the 1A wide receiver. I'm not going to call him a number 2. He was the 1A wide receiver.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now he's the 1 all by himself. And then you look at a guy like your boy Amari Cooper and how he did nothing in Oakland with Derek Carr as his quarterback, at least the last couple seasons. And then he goes to Dallas, a team that isn't even a passing team, and puts up some monster numbers to end the season.
I think he finishes. If you look at his time in Dallas, he made. You just take what he did in Dallas from when he got to Dallas to the end of the season. I think he was wide receiver 8.
Okay, so and that's what I'm saying is, and in Oakland, he was a guy that we couldn't even play in DFS on a weekly basis in a good matchup.
He was benchable in Oakland.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't see this being a better situation for AB. So I don't know. I hope Antonio Brown's not listening because I really don't want to hear all the BS. But honestly, in fantasy, Juju is probably the better play.
Yeah, I think I give the slight nod to Juju. And then, everybody know how I love AB. You know what I'm saying? So I will have some AB shares. Then on a $1,000 team, though, I'll put Juju on a $1,000 team, though. I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. I like taking the flyer on James Washington late. Also,
Yep.
Another wide receiver. Yes, T.Y. or Juju.
I really like Indy's offense to put points up this year.
Me too. I do too. The thing about it is, Benny, it's like it depends on who you're drafting against. If you're in the room with some sharp cats, you may have to pull T.Y. Hilton up. Mm-hmm. If not, with some, people are down on Hilton, it seems like.
They're down on him because Andrew Luck likes to throw to tight ends.
Yeah.
But again, again, last year, if you looked at that offense and you were like, all right, we have to stop T.Y. and not let him get there. So you're playing your safeties back, you're putting coverage over the top, which is going to open the middle up for tight ends. And that's what they did last year. Jack Doyle, even when he was healthy, saw a lot of them. Eric Ebron had an literally all-time kind of season. Lions fans are like, we had this guy for 10 years. He didn't put up that much production in 10 years. You go there for a year and you're putting it up. But now, the way the NFL is, Corey, is everyone's going to make adjustments. They got the tape. They're watching the tape. They're seeing what you did to them last year, especially the teams that you play in your division that you're playing twice a year. They're going to say, we got to stop the tight end. Well, how do you stop tight ends? You keep safeties up. You keep linebackers in. And that means that you're leaving T.Y. Hilton one-on-one on the outside. And there aren't a lot of cornerbacks in the league that are going to win or even come close to being a toss-up in that matchup with T.Y. on the outside. So I really think it comes down to, you're looking at a guy that could have a monster year. So maybe in like a best ball situation, or like you said, if you're trying to buck the trend of, what you think most other people would do, I think there is some upside to taking T.Y. early. Overall, though, for the average fan listening out there who has one or two teams, I think Juju over T.Y. is still the way I'd go.
I agree with you on that one. I think T.Y. Hilton has the upside to finish in the top 3. At the end of the year, if T.Y. Hilton's like wide receiver 3, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I really think that T.Y. Hilton has a real high ceiling. You know what I mean? Especially with Andrew Luck getting healthier. They have the chemistry and the rapport there. And I like the direction the coach offense is going in either. I still want to investigate this Marlon Mack thing. That's going to be something that I get into as soon as we get past the events of the next couple of weeks.
So let me ask you. Let me say it this way to you: do you think that Juju's probably the higher floor and T.Y. the higher ceiling? Because I think that's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, I would look at it like that too.
Yeah,
I would look at it like that too. I that's spot on right there. I think James Washington develops also on the other side of him, and I think a flyer on James Washington late is something that could pay off. Also, wide receivers late. I wouldn't forget about Geronimo Allison. He was really becoming the number 2 wide receiver in Green Bay last year until he got hurt. And then you saw St. Brown and all these other cats, Valdez, Scantling, and guys like that pop up. But and Allison is healthy. I think Allison is the guy out on the other side of Devontae Adams that'll get you the Merce rope done. and work done, and he can be a threat deep down the field also. Benny, they play today out there in Citi Field. We got the Mets and the Nationals, Strasburg and Steven Matz.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Steven Matz. You know what? This is like the anti-Tommy G game because these are like two of his least favorite pitchers in the entire world. I'm probably more inclined to stick with the Strasburg side of this for two reasons, actually. One, I think Strasburg's, a pretty good pitcher, and I'm not a big fan of the Mets offense. But the other reason is I'm not a huge fan of Matz, and a lot of people don't realize this, but Washington is actually a pretty good offense against left-handed pitching. At the very least, a guy like, Anthony Rendon completely stands out to me. And I'll make a call for today, Corey. If they play that game, Rendon goes yard.
All right, there you go right there. I'll make sure I play that. Total 7.5. Anything? Nothing?
I actually I like the over, but really I wouldn't play it. I'm not touching it.
Colorado and Pittsburgh, Centezelia and Lyles, 8.5 total on this one. The game is in Pittsburgh. I hate the Pittsburgh Pirates. We talked about that yesterday. I told you already.
Yeah. To be honest, I mean, Lyles is coming off a game where he was like lights out. Like he had 12 strikeouts in the last game. He was awesome. I'd probably lean Pittsburgh, but really I don't want anything to do with this game. I have no interest in betting this. No, even in DFS, I think I listed Lyles as like a GPP option today. Senzatella is pretty cheap if you want to go that route. I don't think he's a very good pitcher, though. I just really don't think either one of these offense takes advantage of it. I like Josh Bell. I like Josh Bell in the Pirates.
All right, cool. Nothing to see here is what Bill was saying.
Nothing.
Baltimore and the Yankees also 12:30 start today. Tanaka and Bundy, 9 is the total. We still are we going to try to get back to that Yankees over again today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm Yankees team total. Bundy's a pretty good pitcher, but I'm not taking the Yankees overs because of their starting pitcher. I'm taking it because if the Yankees just get 2 or 3 runs in the first 5 or 6 innings, when the bullpen comes in, it'll be 11. So it doesn't make a difference. That bullpen is literally the worst one in baseball, and they're pitching like it right now.
Let me see if I can find you what that number is right now.
So here's something for you, Corey. If you like those Yankees, because I like the Yankees to win this game. So if you like those Yankees to win in home run numbers, Bundy this season and last season, both seasons, has been giving up over 2 home runs per 9. Gives them up to righties and lefties. Actually gives them up even more to righties. So you have guys like Gleyber Torres, who's hitting 2 a game apparently. Gary Sanchez, who has homers in like 3 of his last 4. This Yankees team is just absolutely smashing home runs in Baltimore this series. So, this might be one of those spots where you could look, although you're not getting like great payouts. A lot of these guys in the Yankees are like plus 300, plus 400 to hit a home run and for the Yankees to win.
No, those are good bets right there. So I'll try to find one of those. You can't play those at the joint. And like I said, and PointsBet doesn't have those options. You can just bet them to hit a home run. I listened to hit a grand for a grand slam. And this game is plus 790. Is that enough? Is that enough juice to put $10 on a grand slam?
I haven't run the numbers, to be honest with you. I would have to look and see. But what that basically says is that a grand slam is hit, like 1 out of every 9 games?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case or not. Like I said, I'd have to see how many grand slams were hit and how many games were played. Let's put it this way. These are not 2 pitchers that set up as – Oh wait, you're talking about the Baltimore and Yankee game, a grand slam?
Yeah.
I mean, Tanaka gives up home runs, but he gives up solo shots, right? Like he doesn't. That's why he gives them up.
3 guys on base, yeah.
Yeah, if he's down in the count like 2-0, he'll just throw you a fastball down the middle and say, if you hit a home run, you hit a home run. I'd rather do that than
you.
Yeah. So I don't see it on that side. You'd really have to be hoping the Yankees hit one, which again, Baltimore has a horrible bullpen and. Bundy is a guy that is home run prone, so it's not crazy, but I don't know. I wouldn't take that bet. I don't feel like there's an edge there. I feel like you're basically rolling the dice on something that's 8-1.
Yankees team total is 5.5 today with the juice actually on the over. I find that interesting. Be careful of that. It must be raining down there.
I'll look. I don't know, and you never know if they're going to have if they're going to sit some of the big hitters today or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, because 5.5 and at minus 102 is like, you know what I'm saying? Like that seems like that's
You know what I think it is now that I'm thinking about it? You're probably not going to have Gary Sanchez catch, back again today. So he'd have to DH, which means you're taking either Voit or Morales out of the lineup.
Yeah.
And you're putting in, backup catcher, so it's going to be a little bit of a weaker lineup, but still, that doesn't really affect it. I still like the Yankee over.
I agree with you 100%. The Yankees will have 6 runs by the 5th inning. Boston and Toronto, Weber and Richard, well, that's Clayton Richard or Clayton Richard probably. Yeah. The total on this one sitting at 10.5.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I don't think either one of these guys are very good pitchers. So I expect there to be runs. Like Weber, I think is like kind of a young guy. He doesn't go deep into games, so it's really going to be like, he'll pitch 4 innings and then you'll probably get some bullpen guys in there. Again, I expect there to be runs here, but I'm not really on either side of this one. I'm just kind of staying away.
Miami and Detroit pushed it at 9 yesterday. They get back at it today at 1:10 in Detroit. You got Richards and Boyd on the mound. 9. It's been 8.5. Got pushed up to 9 today. What do you think, Benny?
Yeah, I'm going under.
Yeah, I might as well, right?
Matt Boyd's a pretty good pitcher. Again, a lot of those guys on Miami are right-handed bats, though, so it's not really like the ideal matchup for him. But I mean, they suck. Like you look at the numbers.
Last night.
What happened?
Detroit lose again last night?
They lost to Miami. Miami came back and won that game.
Wow. Son, Detroit, I'm telling you, Detroit hasn't won a game in a while, son.
Detroit's not very good. Like the best hitter on the team is Miguel Cabrera, and he's probably 2 or 3 years past his prime. And then you look at the rest of the lineup, like, I don't know, Nick Castellanos is okay, and Nico Goodrum is okay. But, like, if those are your best bats, you're in trouble. You know what I mean?
I'm right now. I'm back to May 12th. The last W was on May 12th.
Right.
May 23rd.
Almost 2 weeks ago at this point, yeah.
Yeah. I would go for Miami. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? If you're gonna fight the trend, you might as well follow it, man.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, fuck it.
Detroit Tigers sucks. If you bet against them every game, you're gonna make some money.
Yeah, basically that's what it looks like. Philadelphia and Chicago, Aaron Nola and John Lester opened up to the line. Total opened up at 7.5 has been taken off the board. At least what I'm looking at right now. What do you think of these two right here? Anything that stands out?
Yeah, what stands out is the wind is blowing out at a big number is what they've been saying, which is why they took the total off the board. For those of you who don't know, and again, you have to be quick to get on this, right? But in Wrigley Field, when the wind is blowing out, your kid's Little League team could hit 10 home runs in Wrigley Field when the wind is blowing out in Chicago. They don't call it the Windy City for nothing. Like, it's a legitimate –
somebody who's a veteran DFS player. I've been hearing about this wind in Chicago, been producing these shows and doing these shows for years. And as much as we hear about the wind in Chicago, a lot of times the wind be 20 miles an hour and the score be 3-4.
Well,
I think it's one of the biggest hoaxes in sports, the wind in Chicago, in fantasy.
No, it's a legit, again, there are people, not me because I have a life, but there are people who sit down and track the number of, the number of runs scored when the wind is a certain mile per hour.
Not me. I like to have sex. Yeah.
And they do it all that. Well, that's it. I'm a 1%er from the DFS player. The joke is that a lot of DFS players don't get laid. So, I got 3 kids, so I'm not in that group of those people who do nothing but sit and look at stats. But really, I do just kind of sit and look at stats when I'm not, getting laid or.
Yeah. But I'm not having sex.
But either way, like I've read the studies, I've seen the numbers before too. Like it's a legitimate boost to both runs scored and home runs, which obviously makes sense. The more home runs hit, the more runs scored are going to be hit. Now, the thing is, people act like it's an automatic. Like it's not going to happen every game. But there are also, for every game that ends 4-3, like you're saying, there's also a game that ends 13-11.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So when you factor those two together and you divide it by, 2 games, you're looking at 7 runs on one side, 6 runs on the other side. And, that's how the numbers get boosted up that way. So there have been some very big scoring games on slates where the wind has been blowing out at Wrigley. So the point of what I was saying is if you were able to get in early on that 7.5 before before everybody really got word of the wind, you can make some money doing that. But when this reopens, Corey, it's going to reopen with 10-plus runs.
Wow. Benny, this is interesting. I'm looking at this, right? and I'm just happen to be going through this. This game is a 2:20 start, obviously a day game in Chicago.
Right.
Nothing crazy about that. This game is on ABC.
ABC or like ESPN ABC?
Just says ABC7.
Interesting.
That's crazy. A day baseball game on Channel 7
On a Thursday.
on a Thursday. This is awkward to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I don't know. Maybe is that like the local Channel 7? Like the local?
But why would the
Either
local
way,
Channel
ABC,
7 be
yeah.
playing the Cubs and the Phillies?
I don't know. I mean, listen,
Right?
Chicago and Philly are two big cities. They do
They
both
really
have
are
pretty
big
decent.
markets, but I've never seen a Thursday afternoon baseball game on WABC. Matter of fact, I have to go to this right now. I got to investigate this further.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, the way I look at it, most baseball games that I watch are either on ESPN, the Yes Network for the Yankees, or I watch them on the MLB At Bat app. Like how many games are actually even on? You know, the only game that I can think of that's on like regular television is like Fox does a Sunday game, right? Or a Saturday game in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's, I didn't think baseball still had major contracts like that anymore. Doesn't everybody have their own network?
Exactly. And then the Cubs game seemed like it would be on WGN. So, and that's not WABC. I'll find out more about this. But we're not going to waste time with that right now. Atlanta and San Fran, 7.5 is total in this one. Gausman and Bumgarner.
Yeah, I mean, pretty good. This is in San Fran, right? I'm trying to remember. This is one of the games I didn't look at. Yeah.
These two teams been playing in San Francisco since last weekend.
That's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, leave them over there.
No, I actually do like the Braves. Gausman, I think, is a pretty good pitcher here, and Bumgarner.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bumgarner is not peak Madison Bumgarner, but he's not bad. And San Francisco is a park that usually you don't get a lot of runs in. So the one thing I like the most here is probably the under. Okay,
the Braves and the under in this one right here. The Twins and the Angels didn't get a chance to play last night. Today, this afternoon at 4, you got Perez and Matt Harvey. 9 is the total. I feel like the over is going to hit in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to stick with what I said yesterday. I think the over is the way to go here. So
there you go right there. And then you got Cleveland and Tampa Bay tonight and Chicago and Houston tonight. Anything on those two games?
To be honest with you, I didn't really look at them. Give me the pitching matchups, though, and I'll give you my quick off the top of my head.
Yarborough and Plutko.
I like Yarborough. He's pretty good, but I wouldn't bet on that game.
No. He played for Yarborough played for the Rays. And then Lucas Giolito and Martin go for Chicago and Houston. 9's the total in that one.
Dude, Giolito's looked good lately, but I'm not taking him against Houston. Yeah, honestly, I'm probably not touching either one of those late games. I'm gonna be. You know what? I'll save my bets for basketball later on tonight.
Yeah, that's the same thing. And we'll finish up with the NBA right here before we get out of here. You got the big game tonight. Game 5 back in Milwaukee. 2-2 series. That number actually came down to 6.5. Benny. Still got most of the money on the Bucks. Total is opened at 219. Bet down to 216. What do we think about Game 5?
So wait, you said most of the money is still on the Bucks?
Yep.
Most of the bets still on the Bucks too?
Yep.
And it came down from 7 to 6.5.
Yeah, that's reverse steam. So that means the big money is on Toronto.
Yes. That's what I was just going to say. That's why I was asking those questions. That's interesting. That makes me think, because I was waiting for it to come down to get on it, but to have all the money on one side and to have it come down is something that's usually a red flag for me.
Yeah.
Again, I said yesterday I wanted to take them at 7. So at 6.5, I can't hop off of it now with Milwaukee, but that's a very interesting thing where I'll be honest with you. I'm making a pick for the show, and I'll say I'll stay on Milwaukee, but I'm not betting it tonight.
I think what about you? Anything on the total?
What is it?
216.
No, I wouldn't play with that either because depending on how this game's played, it could be 240 or it could be 200. Yep, that's true too. These two teams, that total can kind of vary. Any prop bets you like for this one? Yes, Kyle Lowry over 14.5 points. I already jumped on it big time this morning. If you can find Gasol at 5.5, I really like that rebounds. At 7 or 6.5 rebounds, I'm a little shady. That one hit for me, thankfully, last game, but I kind of felt like I backdoored it and stole it. Like he shouldn't have had 7 rebounds. But if I can get it at 5.5, I'll take over 5.5 there. Giannis, 13.5 rebounds. I'm on the fence about it today, Corey. I'm probably still going to do it, but I've been throwing 100 on it every game. I'm probably just going to throw 50 on it tonight.
I can see that. What about Chris Middleton? Points.
How many is it? See, here's basically the reason why I'm a little shady about the Giannis rebounds, which kind of ties into the Middleton points. So if you watch the last couple games, what Toronto has done, they're putting Kawhi on Giannis now, which has kept Giannis away from the basket a little bit. But it also means that Kawhi is not on Middleton, who is the guy that he normally guards here, because basically Middleton is a tougher guard than Giannis is, because you can kind of stay and play center field when you're guarding Giannis 5 feet off him and let him shoot. Middleton, you're chasing around screens. He's going one-on-one, and you're staying in front of him. So if the Middleton scoring is under 20, I'd probably be pretty interested in it.
Yeah, Middleton is at 17.5.
I'd be interested in
is at 13.5, and George Hill is at 9.5.
Middleton.
I bring these players up because I like role players at home.
Yeah, well, Middleton is the one I'd be really interested in because you know his minutes are safe, right? Like Hill has played 30 minutes in some of these games. He's played 20 minutes in some of these games. So I don't really want to roll the dice on, is this going to be a good George Hill or a bad one? I know if Middleton plays, Middleton's going to get shots. And I know the way they played it last game, it's Middleton without Kawhi guarding him. So I feel like the over is more likely to hit when he has a softer matchup.
All right. The big piece of chicken, Benny. Give it to Alex Bregman. He won me some money yesterday. What do you got?
Let's see. Big piece of chicken. I'm actually going to give it to Brian Anderson. Most people don't even know, third base outfield eligible for the Miami Marlins. Hit a big 2-run home run for me last night that pushed me up from making a little bit of money to making a decent amount of money. I'm not going to say big money, but to making it a decent amount of money that night. So big shout out, Brian Anderson, big piece of chicken.
All right, there you go right there, Elite Fantasy Sports Network. For my main man, Benny, I'm Corey Parson. We are out.